What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Peter Parkour of the Distorted Theorists, and I just got out of, well, not just got out of, but a little while ago got out of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning here in St. John's, Newfoundland at Cineplex Theaters. Now, before I get into anything else, I'm going to tell you all the things about the movie that I liked and all the things that I didn't like. This is a little bit different from what Justin and I usually do because I forgot all the equipment. But anyways, before I get into it, a little bit of housekeeping. As always, if you're a fan of the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button because we're still on the way to 15,000 subscribers. And if you are returning to the channel, make sure to hit that like, share, and comment down below if you've seen Final Reckoning or if you plan on going to see it and what you're excited to see as well. So, normally I have Justin here to bounce things off of when I go to see one of these movies, but I don't because it was all me at this point. It's my dog trying to get in the room right now. So yes, I only got out of the theater. Well, what time is it now? I got out of it probably, I'd say, about a half hour ago. And honestly, I mean, I'm gonna get into the my number rating and everything at the end of it, but I really, really enjoy this movie. This is going to be a treat for anyone that's going to see this in the theaters. If you're a fan of Mission Impossible, if you're a fan of Ethan Hunt or Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt or any of the characters, any of the stunts, this is going to be the movie to see. It is by far not the best in the series, and it is by far not the worst in the series, but this is a perfect send-off for what has been touted for a long time as the send-off for Ethan Hunt. It's called The Final Reckoning for a reason. Am I going to get into spoilers here? No, I'm not going to do that because that's doing you an injustice. You should go see this movie when you can. Go see it in D-Box, go see it in IMAX, go see it in regular Max. Go see them film. So, in terms of the cast, we know Tom Cruise is Ethan Hunt. He's been Ethan Hunt for the last 7 movies, not including this one, so at 8 films in total for 29 years, almost 30 years. That well, we're aware of that Ethan Hunt has dedicated to the IMF. We know in 1996 in Mission Impossible, the first one, that he's already been a plan of Jim Phelps' team for a couple of years. And over time, we've learned the story of Ethan growing as an agent to become this basically godlike character. We've got Simon Pegg returning as Benji. We've got Ving Rhames returning as Luther. We've got Palm Clementieff returning as Paris from Dead Reckoning Part 1. We've got Haley Atwell returning as Grace as well from Final Reckoning, and a host of other characters that have been present in previous films. Not in the way that you would expect, but generally we're recognizing everyone pretty much from previous films, with a couple of new ones to boot. And these new characters, I'm not going to get into every single one because I don't have time. I could, but I don't think you're going to stick around for me to talk about this for an hour. The plot, as well as we know, if you're not familiar with any of this, the world is in peril once again. Ethan is dealing with the entity that was present in Dead Reckoning Part 1, and the basically the entity's plan is coming to a full culmination, and he's got to try and stop it. How is he going to do it? There's only one way to find it, and that's go see it. But the draw behind so many of these Mission Impossible movies, once it got to the point where Brad Bird took over with Ghost Protocol, was the stunts. And the stunts that are being performed in this movie, not only by Tom Cruise, but the rest of the crew as well, are amazing. There was an interview recently, I think it was on The Tonight Show with Simon Pegg, where he says that Benji has gone through a little bit of an evolution as well, because in the first movie, and I think it was Mission Impossible 3, when he makes his first appearance, he has said himself, he was a little bit on the tubby side. He was more human, but then over time, his role to team leader and other field agent and whatnot has basically provided to Simon Pegg a way to get into fitness. And we see everyone, Haley Atwell, Palm Clementieff, everyone is pretty much carrying the weight and the burden of the events of this film on their shoulders, and they're doing it extremely well. There's a couple of missed beats. There's a couple of moments where a group of characters is experiencing something, and then it cuts away to something that just completely falls flat because you're kind of riding this, like, oh, here we go, and then it just feels cheap in a way in certain aspects, but the movie does keep you on the edge of your seats, which is what Mission Impossible has done through pretty much all of their films, but really started with Brad Bird's Ghost Protocol. Um, so yes, the stunts are huge. The set pieces and real world locations. I mean, we're going everywhere. We're in submarines. We're in bunkers. We're in South Africa. We're in London. There's a number of places that you're going to, and again, that's part of the series. Is that you're jet setting, you're globe trotting, and the weight of this film. Um, because you don't know, like, for anyone that's seen all the other Mission Impossibles at this point, it's kind of hard not to realize that, Ethan makes it through in every single film because he's in it in this one. So at that point, if you're watching the other ones, like, well, he makes it. The mission is complete. But in this one, you don't really know. I know, but you don't. And the the climax of this movie, really and truly, there's weight behind it, there is discomfort, there is just fantastical action going on, and you are really concerned for a number of characters um, near the end of the film. So the like I was talking about, the action, the cast is great. They work well. There's some characters that don't really get many moments to shine, but when they do, it works. Um, the This isn't your typical spy movie like James Bond where there's big gunfights all the time. It's more close quarters and hand to hand than anything else. There's still gunfights and they work well. Um, and it's a film that really it pulls you in. I know it's hard to pull out your phone and kind of get distracted in the middle of a theater because again, you're watching this on a friggin' 80 to 120-foot screen. But there was no point. The 2 hours and 51-minute runtime, which again, that's including credits and whatnot. But that runtime really and truly does not feel like almost 3 hours. Um, there's, like I mentioned before, there were a couple of points that dragged on a bit or fell flat because they were following an intense sequence, but you're not waiting. You're not like, oh, come on, can we get back to this part? Can we get it's the pacing of the film does does feel like it was really well thought out. It's just there are some points that just kind of, oh well, I was kind of hoping that we could extend that, or that was really intense, and oh, now we're in a boring bunker. No, okay. So all in all, Final Reckoning is a great film. It really and truly is. It doesn't, it's not something, it's not a film that is really trying to be something that it isn't. It's a Mission Impossible film. The stakes are there. Um, and something that I was really impressed with, I realized this as I was going back, because for the last week and a half, I've been rewatching the Mission Impossible series of films, and the character development that Ethan goes throughout the series, it's visible. You're seeing, like, James Bond was always James Bond. In every film that James Bond was in, there was like, I'm James Bond. Yeah, and you knew there was nothing like, oh, he's learning how to be James Bond, or he's dealing with the gravitas of the situation. Like, they all did that, but in the first two movies, Ethan is really cocky. He's just like, yeah, this is how it's going to go. I've got my team behind me. This is how it's going to happen. Yeah. In the third one, he's starting to realize that the stakes are bigger than him. As much as he's dealing with world-ending events, there's other people that are getting involved. So he's starting to really feel the stakes for those around him. And then as that evolution goes into 4, 5, 6, and 7, we start to see Ethan go through, like, I'm risking everyone else to protect a very special few, but the luck that Ethan always has in his back pocket shines. And there's a risk that's always being taken, but he's not willing to sacrifice those that are close to him in order to complete the mission. And somehow everything seems to work out in 1 through 7. Does it work out in 8? I'm not telling you. You got to go see it. So this was one of those films where, because of the events and how emotional and the gravity of the situation, you understand that Ethan feels this too. So Tom Cruise is really displaying the um like he's unsure of how this is going to go. Everyone kind of talks about these suicide missions in previous films, and it's very like the stakes are, I keep mentioning this, but the stakes are getting higher and higher and higher, and these impossible situations that Ethan finds himself in, he is finding himself in more of them now. So it works, and you feel that fear, you feel the uncertainty in your seat, especially when you're in IMAX theater. You feel and everyone in the theater, I really and truly felt, you could feel or you can hear the when something would happen, when something was the comedic timing in this was great too. There's not a ton of comedy in this, but there's enough light comedy that it's not so serious and explodey all the time. And everyone felt that, and they displayed it. And like I said, when things are everyone around myself, and it was a ripple effect, really and truly. So all in all, great film. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that it's not the best Mission Impossible in the series. It is by far not the worst Mission Impossible. I'm not going to give it a ranking right now, but it's up there. It's up there for sure. I would give this a solid 8.5, just for pure enjoyment. I mentioned to Justin, when I got out of the theater, I texted him and I said, because he's mentioned before that he's like, he didn't have time to get through all the Mission Impossible films while he's dealing with his life and everything. And he said it just wouldn't be worth it. I don't know if I'd be able to get to it in time, and I'd be doing myself a disservice. So he opted out of this film. So I took a buddy, and he really only remembers Dead Reckoning Part One, and he still felt like this was good. So I told Justin, I was like, you can't go see this now, because you're going to kick yourself for not seeing this in theaters after seeing how this ends. Once you watch all the other Mission Impossibles, it's worth it. There's callbacks. Everything happens for a reason, and it really does a good job of wrapping up Ethan's story. Um, and there's been talks, will they do another Mission Impossible series of movies, or will there be other films in general? Will they involve Ethan Hunt? We don't know. um, Tom Cruise has said he'd like to see the Mission Impossible series continue, whether that's with or without Ethan Hunt, we don't know. But this was being said 2 years ago, so we don't know. This was before Dead Reckoning even came out, before the events of that film were even known. So following the events of this film, no one knows. No one knows where the Mission Impossible series could go from here. It'd be cool to see them, but uh, whether Tom Cruise is at the helm of a production, would he have the same stunts in them? I don't know, and I'm not going to say anything to the fate of Ethan Hunt in this either. So do yourself a favor, if you're a fan of action movies, if you're a fan of fun and enjoyable movies, really and truly go see Final Reckoning. If you have the opportunity, at least watch Dead Reckoning Part 1 before you go. It's not necessary to watch the other 6 movies. It's a good idea, but everyone has different amounts of free time on their hands. So it's a fun movie if you don't know anything else about Mission Impossible. It's even more fun if you realize the events of the previous film, and it is infinitely more fun if you recognize the events of all of the series, and every of the characters' backgrounds. But regardless, this is a great film. Take your family, take your partner, take your dog, go see this film. It's worth it to see it in theaters, and that is why I'm generally a fan of Tom Cruise's last endeavors into film, because he wants to put butts in seats in theaters, and this was definitely worth it to go see. So again, I've given my rating a solid 8.5 out of 10. Before I sign off, as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. If you are returning, comment down below, hit that like, share, tell everyone to go see this film as well. If you have seen it, try and keep the comments below spoiler free. If you want to DM us or discuss anything else with spoilers, you can as well. You know where to find us. If you don't, I'm not telling you, you can figure it out. So again, this is about the 8th time that I said this now. 8.5 out of 10. Go see Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. I am Peter Parkour of the Distorted Theorists, and like we always say around here, keep it real.